Hina Bokhari.
Thank you, Chair. Yesterday, a petition from the Warren Farm Reserve group reached 20,000 signatures, and these campaigners have been campaigning on behalf of a meadow in Ealing, which is home to an abundance of common and rare and endangered species. Now, this is just an example of many sites across London that are under threat of development, and unfortunately, this is a case that seems to be increasing. Across London, which are designated as sites of importance for nature conservation? What action is the Mayor taking to try and protect these existing habitats?
Well, the sites of importance for nature conservation requires they're set out in the London Plan and the policy and the environment strategy to try to designate them and then support them. So, for example, the work that we're able to do, apart from that sort of planning designation, is through the Rewilding London Fund. For example, we've given money to help maintain or improve those sinks. And I think it was about 600,000 in the first round, and we're due to announce a second round shortly. And this round has had funding in order to help those managers of the 1,600 sites that cover London to be able to bid for support to improve.
I wrote to the Mayor a few weeks ago about this particular area, Warren Farm, and have not had any replies. And that's concerning because Ealing Council have been ignoring residents, ignoring environmental groups, have gone against this particular plan of the Mayor's as well to protecting these types of habitats. Will there be a response from the Mayor in terms of Warren Farm and Ealing specifically?
To that letter, yes, apologies that it hasn't got to you yet.
OK, well, I look forward to seeing his response on this. Does the Mayor have an assessment of overall picture across London about how many sites are under threat right now? Does he have an accurate idea?
I'm not sure how you would define under threat, but he certainly, we know which ones have been designated, and I think I don't think we have, no.
No, I think if planning applications are referred to the Mayor, obviously we'd then be checking it against that.
But not every planning application is of the site or issue for some of those sites. They're not necessarily going to be big enough to be referred to the Mayor. So it may be that we don't have a full picture.
Right, OK. Well, there's a rewilding task force that's been met 3 times and they're due to finish soon.
Yeah.
What has been the impact of this group, and when should we expect the conclusion of the rewilding task force?
Well, I chair the group, so we are in the final stages of signing off the report. So it's in design stage at the moment, and we should be issuing it shortly when we've got a date to release it. And that sets out the approach that we want to recommend in London on rewilding. So the sorts of rewilding that people talk about, big species reintroduction, or big habitats restoration, may not be able to be done in London because, as you might do, say, in Scotland or in some of the other places around the country, because of the space that we have for rewilding that sort of level of scheme. But there's lots at the other end of the spectrum. There's lots of activity that can be done on smaller sites, which is a lot of the work that the Mayor has been doing since 2016 about how do you support nature recovery in those smaller sites, including sinks and so on. So what the partnership has been doing is looking at a framework and some principles on how you might approach that and encourage both ends, and then particularly what are the principles and where are some locations that you might consider for that large-scale reintroduction. Not talking about species, because that really does mean somebody has to have a look at the sites to understand what's necessarily relevant, whether it's invertebrates or whether it's beavers or whether it's grazing animals or whether it's something else, which I won't mention. It'll probably set some headline off about what the Mayor wants to reintroduce in London. So having worked for Ken Livingstone many, many years ago, who one of my jobs was trying to reintroduce adders into London, that didn't go very well.
Okay.
I don't want to really talk about which species yet, but that work is underway, and then that really is down to the amazing people on that task force who've been absolutely brilliant in giving their expertise on this. So
You said there's a report that's going to be
probably
finished
shortly.
yeah.
So it'll set out the frameworks, their recommendations. You know, we've got the new London Nature Recovery Strategy.
Can you say some of the next steps that are in that report that we
Then
can
I will
share
be
them
breaking
now?
an embargo, so no, I can't.
Okay, all right. And the date for that report will be?
Shortly.
Shortly.
We're just trying to pin down a date, so we're trying to get this out because, you know,
Right,
like
okay.
I said, it's in design at the moment.
So we'll shortly see a report. We'll shortly see an answer from the mayor about Warren Farm. Shortly, hopefully, he'll also change his mind and make sure that he is supporting the people of Ealing. I mean, there are many groups out there who are very keen to see Ealing change their mind on this particular issue, and I hope that the Mayor of London supports them. On to the nature recovery strategy as well.
Yeah.
What will be the process for developing the London Nature Recovery Strategy, and what part of the GLA will lead this?
So that I was just going to talk about that new responsibility. So the mayor hasn't formally been designated as, I think, what they call the responsible authority, but the strong indications are that he will. So we've been working to start the conversations with, you know, which organisations would be part of the sort of working group on that, but ultimately the GLA will be leading the development of that strategy. But we know we can't do that at the GLA. We have to be working with local authorities, with all those land managers, those biodiversity experts and sink managers and others, to make sure that we've got that good input into what a London nature recovery strategy would look like. And part of the work of the rewilding task force has been to make sure that a rewilding is included in that into that work. So maybe that's a sneak preview of one of the recommendations there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to pick up on Warren Farm Nature Reserve as well. I've been to the site several times. It's an incredible place. A lot of the focus has been on the Skylarks. It contains a third of London's breeding population.
Yeah.
And absolutely, the residents that I've spoken to really feel like Ealing Council have been ignoring them. Now, there's some other serious issues as well, aside from the wildlife, and that's around plant species and biodiversity. And in fact, there are plants on the site that are at threat of extinction. Now, the GLA's priority species plant list has 72 species on it, and someone from the Natural History Museum has spoken to me informally to say that 42 of those are now extinct. So they're saying essentially the species list is incredibly out of date. Would you commit to looking into that work and making sure that we do have priority there?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Then I'm going to hand over to Assembly Member.